What's up, boys? It's me, Joe, at the Dual Factory, and this time I have another deck profile for you guys. A couple weeks ago, not this week, but the week before, I went to a locals, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I got an urge to play like a super extra sweaty deck, especially since I just got my prosperities, and I don't know why, I just wanted to get like extra sweaty playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It was kind of weird. So I decided to play Invoked Dogmatika. I just hadn't played like an actual just regular Invoke deck for a while. And I think Prosperity is like really, really good for this deck because you can just cherry pick a starter card, and like every time I resolved the card, it was nutty. Um, anyway, I did go 4-0 at this locals. Arguably, I didn't get to play against a bunch of competitive decks, but I did get to play against an interesting deck, Lyrilisk Tri-Brigade, against a fairly decent player with it. And so I got to learn that matchup and stuff like that. But for me, the deck performed really well. Like, there are sometimes I only saw one part of the engine, even though resolving prosperity. But I mean, like, that's kind of risky take for this kind of decks. But enough about that. I'm gonna go ahead and get to the profile, and then before I forget, don't forget to check out the Extra Drop podcast that comes out every single Monday. This week's episode we might not have. I'm not 100% sure at the recording of this video, simply because I don't know if John finished his move yet. But if you haven't checked it out already, go ahead and go check that out. We'll have links in the description below, all that fun stuff. I also have the deck list in the description below if you don't want to watch the video. But let's go ahead and get into it. So to start off the main deck, we play 3 copies of Alistair the Invoker. Not much to say, it is Invoked Dogmatika. You want to be able to see both. What makes this deck so good is you want to be able to see both engines whenever you start the game. So we want to maximize on the copies of each of our engines. So 3 copies of Alistair, and then I play personally right now 3 copies of Ecclesia. Not much to say about this card. Alistair and Ecclesia are like a really good combo together. I really like the Dogmatica cards. You can honestly though, you can probably cut Ecclesia down to 2, and I thought about doing that too. But I don't know. I just kind of like having all 3 in the deck right now, especially in this kind of deck since it's only 2 engines. And then for the one of Dogmatikas, I always play the 1 copy of Fleur de Lis. I think Fleur de Lis is really good. And then in this engine, you kind of need like a bomb card. So I am opting, and I usually don't, but I am opting to play 1 copy of Maximus in your main deck. You got to be careful with this card. But it's also like super high impact, and that's why I'm playing it, because you need more high impact cards in your deck. And then like one matchup that I was playing, I noticed that like when you're in a simplified game state, you can continually use Maximus effect, and you can reuse your Intis and your Omega every single turn and loop it, and then like the Maximus just applies so much pressure at the point that it's actually kind of unreal. So that's why we're playing it right now. Arguably you don't have to, but a deck like this needs high impact cards, and this is just one of them. And then one of my favorite parts about this deck is it gets main deck's 9 hand traps, which is kind of dope. So for the first set of hand traps, we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. It's the most generic of the format, that's why it's in there. A high impact hand trap, you're going to hear me say that term a lot in this deck. We play Gamma, high impact hand trap that's really good. Unfortunately, you do have to play the 1 copy of Driver. And then for the third one, which I also thought was high impact, as I am opting to play 3 copies of Skullmeister, because there is a lot of graveyard effects to this format. And there's a lot of stuff that Skullmeister can stop that Ghost Spell can't. Vice versa, there are certain interactions Ghost Spell can stop that Skullmeister itself also cannot. It's just player preference. I just think overall Skullmeister is a better high impact hand trap. And that's it for the monster count. On for the spells. We play 3 copies of Magical Meltdown. Like I said, you want to maximize on seeing your Invoked engine. You want to maximize seeing your Dogmatic engine. So we're maxing out on those. The 2 invocations that go with it, we're not playing Desires. We are playing Prosperity. So we only have to play 2. And then 1 copy of Terraforming to maximize seeing Alistair. And then, again, my favorite card in Yu-Gi-Oh! 3 copies of Nadir Servant. This card is just bonkers. Like, something's probably going to happen to it on the ban list, so it's going to make me real sad. It's probably going to go to 2 or something like that. I don't know, 100% sure. But, like I said, it's my favorite card in Yu-Gi-Oh! The definition of high impact. So, there's that card. And then probably one of my second favorite cards right now in the format is Potter's Prosperity. For those of you who don't know, basically what it does is you can banish up to 6 cards from your extra deck face down, and then you can excavate the number of cards that you banish from your extra deck, and you can add 1 to your hand and the rest of the cards to the bottom of the deck, and you can only do half damage, and you can't draw cards other than your draw phase the turn you activate this card. In this deck, at first I was kind of skeptic about it because like your extra deck's like super important, but at the same time, being able to cherry pick a starter card or an extender is absolutely insane in this deck. I can't tell you how many times I saw 1 half of my engine, and then all of a sudden I just activated Prosperity and saw the second half, and then like I just put myself in such a winning position. It was unreal. So I think it's a staple in this deck. I think you just have to play 3. Like, there's not much else I can say. It warrants the price tag. I'm going to be 100% honest with you boys. Speaking of more high impact cards, 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets. It's really good in this deck, especially with all like the extra uses you get out of your cards, like Meltdowns, Alistairs, like all sorts of stuff. This deck does struggle against like simplified boss monsters such as Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and stuff like that. So you need a way to be able to out in your main deck, and like I said, it just works really, really well. Speaking of that, we're also playing 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. I will admit, Virtual World is kind of a tough matchup, especially when they establish Chuche. So you need a way to get rid of it, and you also need a way to interact with your opponent's cards. So there's that. And then the one of Cold by the Grave. Never drew it, so I can't tell if it's any good or not. But in theory, it's broken. And then the last 2 cards, 2 copies of Dogmatika Punishment. Don't laugh, they're not super yet. And then 1 copy of Shaddoll Schism. This card's probably my favorite highest impact card in the actual deck itself. And that is the main deck. It is 40. On to the Fabled Extra deck. Everything in the extra deck's broken. Forewarning. 2 copies of Mechaba. Not much to say there. You don't need more than 2 copies. But yeah. Boss monster. Gotta love it. 1 perk. This is only coming down for game, but it very rarely comes. I actually banish it a lot off of Prosperity, believe it or not, but I don't know how I feel about it. Agoides. Still haven't summoned it. Know it's going to come up. Don't know when, but it is. Shaddoll Monsters. 1 copy of Construct because she's the queen, and then it's just there for Maximus. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. 1 copy of Winda. This is the game winner. Game winner, usually, but I might play 2 copies. I'm not 100% sure on that one. And then 1 copy of App Cologne. And then I also play Titaniclad. Not much to say about Titaniclad. The card's broken. 1 copy of Intis. And then I am opting to play 1 copy of Fossil Warrior Skull Knights. Mainly because I just want something extra to send off of Maximus or like Nadir Servant or whatever in general. Just kind of like so I can have like more pops and stuff like that. And I think out of all the cards you could, I mean, like there's the Pegasus. You could just play another copy of Intis or anything like that. But I think this card just fits the bill better than any other card, so that's why we're playing it. Speaking of stuff like that, 1 Omega, it becomes really good with, what's the card? Maximus. Yeah, it comes really, really good with Maximus. I kept looping like my Intis every single turn. That stuff was crazy. And then the 1 copy of Nova, if I play into the mirror and they try to Maximus me so that I can just summon them combo for free, and then they kind of poop themselves, and it's kind of funny. And then for the Link monsters, I play 1 copy of Maiden. This card actually becomes really important, especially with Prosperity, because if you don't have a way to like start your plays off, and you're not dedicating to the Maximus play, you can afford to banish the Secure Garden and the Salamangreat Almirage. So that way you can still like end on like Mechaba Ecclesia with Fleur de Lis and the Trap card, and that's a really good opening. So this card becomes really, really important. And then for when you do open like your Maximus combo, there is the Almirage and there is the Secure Guard now. And that was my Invoked Dogmatika list. Arguably, I am posting this before a ban list comes out, but I don't think much changes even when the ban list comes out. It just depends on how hard the actual like engine cards and stuff like that get hit. But I wanted to bring that to you guys. It was a first place finish at my locals. Wasn't a huge accomplishment, but it is something interesting to look at, especially for a strategy like this, when you have options such as Virtual World, Drytron, and like the Bird Up. Like, there's a bunch of decks you could be playing. I just chose to play this because I thought Prosperity was a huge fit for it. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm actually like, I don't know, a week to 10 days away from building my PC. I'm super excited about that, so I can actually give you better quality content, so on and so forth. Don't forget to check out the X2 Drop podcast. As you all know, Douglas French has no sauce, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.